Today I'm going to show you how to create multicolored stamped images using our Pigment ink pads. This image was created using September's stamp of the month called Paper Garden, and I used 4 of our Pigment ink pads to create the varying colors on the flower, and then this kind of green and yellow edge here on the leaves and stems. So to get started, you're going to want to make sure you do have pigment inks. And our pigment inks look like this. They're these little 1-inch squares, and they just have this little bit of ink on top of them. What's great about these is that you can easily blend and paint with these on a stamped image because they're so small. The other awesome thing about these is that pigment inks have a larger particle, which means that they actually don't sink into the paper. They just sit on top of it. So it works a lot like paint. And that is incredible because you can do a lot of sort of painting techniques on your stamp set with these. So to get started, here is my paper that I'm going to be stamping on, and here is the stamp set that I'm going to use. I don't know how well you can see this, but this is the flower up here, and then the leaves and stems down here. So to get started, whenever you're doing any sort of blending and painting, you want to start with your lightest color, and for me that's the color I just showed, that Smoothie. And so I'm just going to press down, and I'm actually pressing kind of hard because I want the ink to transfer to this. So I'm just going to dab this across, and then I'm going to find, I think there's like some other little flowers kind of hidden around here. I'm just going to dab there. Okay, and then I'm going to go over and take my darker color, and this is actually pomegranate, and I'm just going to dab on the edges to give it a little bit of texture. And again, where the little flowers are. Okay, and then now for the leaves and stems, I'm using Fern, and again, I am pressing hard so that the pigment ink transfers nicely. You can see I'm not too worried about overlap. I'm just getting it going. And then I'm going to finish this off with our saffron, which technically isn't lighter than the fern, but it seemed to make more sense to have the yellow on the outside rather than the inside. Now, the trick to this technique is to not stamp after you're done with this. It's actually to do some blending. And if you do not do some blending, what ends up happening is this. You end up getting a very distinct separation between your two colors. You can kind of see the yellow's a little blotchy. It doesn't quite look as nice as the card that I posted. So remember that this trick here is this last step. You are going to go back, and with your lighter color, the color that you first started out with, you're actually going to go and use the little tip of the ink pad and just lightly blend. That way you get rid of any of those harsh edges. And if you want to go back, you can make it darker or lighter, however you want. Because this ink takes forever to dry, it makes it a lot easier for you to sort of play around a little bit. And so I'm just dabbing a little bit, painting with my pigment inks here. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the green. I'm just going to dab back in so that that yellow doesn't have that splotchy look to it. It's just kind of on the edges there. And oh, maybe I want a little bit more yellow on the edges just to give it a little bit more of a fall look. And then again, to soften it up a bit, I just go back and just lightly dab. And then when you're ready, you feel that you've got your masterpiece, make sure to stamp, pressing hard. You want to get it nice and firm. These Versamats are awesome for this. And there you go. It's nice and blended. And it's okay that it's not perfect, that there's some of the pink on the leaves, there's yellow and all sorts of different colors. You want it to have that nice, natural look. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed learning how to paint with your pigment inks. Happy crafting!